تلج تلج عم بتشتت الدنيا تلج والنجمات حيرانين وزهور الطرقات بردانين تلج تلج عم بتشتت الدنيا تلج والغيمات تعبانين عالتلة خيمات مضويين. You might be wondering, what am I doing? Have I gone spare? Has the COVID pandemic and the on and off lockdown for 1 year affected me mentally so much that I basically start one of my new YouTube episodes with an Arabic song? No, I'm not, I haven't lost it. But I wanted to start it with this because this is one of my favorite childhood songs. It's a Christmas carol. It has also been sung by Fairouz. Fairouz is the Lebanese diva. Some of you might have only heard of her when President Emmanuel Macron went to Beirut some time ago last year and met with her in her house. But she's famous. She's one of those instant recognition names in the Arab world. And I thought, why not start with this song, this Christmas carol about snow? It's not entirely about snow. It gets to Christmas, but it starts with snow, and I like it. So welcome to Arm Wrestling with COVID-19 in London, number 45. Yes, it is about COVID-19. It is not about snow or more snow. Although we've had our fair share of snow in this country, particularly in Scotland and in the north, as have many, many other European countries, such as Germany and others. Now, coming back to COVID-19, the good news is that we're now spoiled with different kinds of COVID vaccines. If you recall, we started with the Pfizer-BioNTech one. Then we had our own home-brewed vaccine, the Oxford AstraZeneca. Then we had the Moderna vaccine. And after that, we started talking about Novavax, we started talking about Johnson & Johnson, and a lot of countries from Dubai to India are also using the Russian Sputnik or the Chinese vaccines too. In fact, there was an article in the medical magazine, The Lancet, recently, which said that the Chinese vaccine is one of the best. Although in this country, in the UK, and particularly in England and London, where I am based or cooped up in my little pad, we are focusing largely at the moment on two, Oxford AstraZeneca and Pfizer-BioNTech. Now, this is the good news. We have now enough vaccines, hopefully, to be able to inoculate a large number of the population. In fact, Nadim Zahawi, the Minister for Vaccines, who originally is an Iraqi gentleman and now minister he was minister in charge of business and now in charge of the vaccine rollout. The reason I spelled his name as Nadim Zahawi is because he is of Iraqi origin. Now, he's been leading this campaign for vaccination. And I must say that after having had a year of flops and flip-flops and failures, we seem to have got our act together when it comes to this vaccine. And if my stats are correct, we have by now about 12 million Brits have received the first dose. And this is quite interesting too, around 510, 511,000 have actually had both jabs, which is great news. What is not so great is that we've also had one of the highest numbers of the number of deaths in the world. To date, we have some 112,000 deaths. That's a sad number. I mean, every time, I've said this before, every time I start saying the number and it keeps going up, it sticks in my throat, because I can't believe that we have had so many people, 112,000 to date, that have died from COVID in the UK, plus just under 4 million cases. However, as I said, the vaccination campaign seems, according to Minister Zahawi, seems to be moving forward well. And the first 4 cohorts, I like that word, the first 4 cohorts or groups, that is to say those above 80, above 70, are all being duly vaccinated, and then will come down gradually. And according to what I understand from the government, anybody over the age of 50 should have received the jabs by May 2021. And that includes me, because I mightn't look a day over 30, but I am in the 50 plus category. So that is the good news. Now, where is the bad news, Harry? Some would say. Well, the bad news is that whilst we started thinking, okay, if we can get the vaccine out and we can vaccinate as many people as we could, then we would first of all firewall our own country, the UK, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and England from this dastardly vaccine, but also allow us the freedoms of opening up our shops, our businesses, traveling, going out freely. Well, that's a very long time in the coming. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen the day after. People are saying Easter. No way, I say. Summer, I'm not too sure if it's going to be under control by summer. Okay, hope springs eternal and all that, but we'll have to see. However, one of the problems is not only the rollout. It's not only the question of how many vaccines can the government give between now and May in order to immunize, in order to firewall the virus with the most susceptible, vulnerable categories, not the 4, the 9, and then we'll be okay. No, because it's not only a question of numbers. Numbers are important. Will those vaccines I just mentioned, will they work? Can we mix and match? Can you get your first vaccine or your first jab from Pfizer and the second one from Moderna or AstraZeneca or Novavax? Would they work? Would apples and oranges work? I listen to scientists. They confuse me more than anything else. One scientist says yes, the other scientist hedges his bets. The third one, she says no. So we don't really know what's happening there. But there is more than that. There are 2 things that we need to keep in mind when we deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. One, the variants. This is the fly in the ointment. This is the problem. We now have the English variant, the Kent variant. We have the 2 Brazilian variants. We have the South African variants. And the government is saying that there are a few cases of the South African variant here. I personally believe, from what I hear and I understand and read, it's far more prevalent than just a few cases. And the danger is that the South African variant, the vaccine is not able to control it or manage it. What's the word? Efficaciously. So therefore, on the one hand, we cannot say that here we go, a jab here, a second jab there, Bob's your uncle, off we go, the world is an oyster, our oyster. No, it's nobody's oyster yet, because we don't know what's going to happen with those variants. And I just hope, I really hope, desperately hope, that we'll find a way out, an egress to this, because you know what, frankly, it's beginning to prey on my mind. I never thought I'd say this, but forget the physical issues, forget the physical troubles, mentally it's beginning to get me tired. I know it. I react more emotively, more emotionally. I am not the same person I was a year ago or 6 months ago mentally. And that for me, and you guys, you viewers, you subscribers, you know, I pride myself, well, I used to pride myself for being called Mr. Spock. Well, Mr. Spock is beginning to weaken now, and he doesn't like it. So the mental pressures on us, all of us, of all ages, young to old, is increasing, and it isn't easy. So with the rollout of the vaccine, a cheerful note comes first. The variants, and a virus mutates, and it keeps on mutating. So what are we going to do? Just create a new vaccine or tweak the vaccine every 3 months in order to come up with a new vaccine that would address that new variant? This is difficult, and I'm hopeful. What else can I do? What else can you do? That they will find a way, at least, if not to harness the virus, at least to make sure that if we get those jabs and we do get this dastardly, nasty virus, then at least the symptoms will not lead us straight to ICU, to a ventilator, to hospital, but that we could deal with it as we would with a flu on a bad winter. The second point is that by vaccinating here in this country, we are not actually stopping the virus. Why? Because this is a global issue. And whilst we are fortunate enough to live in the UK and to be able to get this success story being written out in terms of inoculations and the rollout, look around us and a bit farther afield. Around us, Europe, the EU is struggling. Some Brexiteers are saying, hey, we told you, the UK could do it better on its own. I've got news for them. That's not how the world works. But at the moment, yes, we're way ahead of the curve when it comes to the EU. But go beyond the EU. What about other countries? What about countries in Africa, countries in Asia, countries in the Middle East? They are having serious problems, both in terms of supply, second, in terms of vaccination. And all the efforts by the WHO, by the UN, the COVAX program, in order to be able to reach out to those countries that do not have the resources and the wherewithal that we have, it's not yet working. And if we do not manage to look at this pandemic as a global issue, but only as an island issue, us in the UK, or us in Ireland, it's not going to be an answer. It might give us a temporary respite, but it will stop there. So, to recap, we have many vaccines now, trade names abound for them, so that's good news. The rollout is going well. That's good news for us, not necessarily for the rest of the world. The necessary cohorts are being given the vaccine. Great news. Thank you, Nadim Zahawi. Thank you, government. Thank you, vaccine manufacturers. But we have to keep an eye on variants. We have to keep an eye on the wider world. And we also have to think, what happens come summer? Do we really need vaccination passports to be able to go and travel? Will we be able to travel? Will other countries accept us without a vaccination passport? I remember when I was a kid, a toddler, and this was in Jordan before I moved to France and grew up there. When dad and mom used to travel to Beirut for weekends, because Beirut was the Paris of the Middle East, we all had a tiny little yellow booklet in which we had all the inoculations that we had taken that would allow us to travel. It was a WHO booklet. And at the airport in Jordan, we used to show that booklet before we were allowed on board the plane, like a passport, a different kind of passport. Are we going back to that? I wonder. I leave you with these thoughts, and I hope, that's all I can do. I hope that I won't have a meltdown if this continues, but that's my personal issue, and I suppose that of my great GP. But more to the point, that we all manage to be strong enough to see our way through this pandemic. It's been a year. It's been a hard, harsh, unrelenting, painful year. Fingers crossed. تلج تلج عم بتشتت الدنيا تلج والنجمات حيرانين وزهور الطرقات بردانين تلج تلج عم بتشتت الدنيا تلج والغيمات تعبانين عالتلة خيمات مضويين. Trust me, I haven't lost it. But look at the image. My background, beautiful, beautiful. So peaceful, so pure. If only the world reflected that purity. Take care and all the best.